Yes, you're very smart. Shut up. Hello, my friends. Bella Maldonado here, and today we are doing a hashtag VR to Simon over at the Hermit's Cave, and I'm so excited that he rebooted this hashtag because the original one was called Tarot Tubers A to Z, and he did that one about 3 years ago. But 3 years ago, I wasn't a channel yet, and the prompts are all different from the original, but it's still a different prompt for each letter in the alphabet. So I'm excited to go through that. And this right here, this is just a tarot deck that I have out, just purely for visuals. This is actually out of print. And just for reference, this deck is the Vertigo Tarot deck. It was illustrated by Dave McKean. If you're not familiar with Dave McKean, he's done a lot of collaborations with Neil Gaiman, and especially a lot of the covers to Neil Gaiman's graphic novels. The text to this guidebook was written by Rachel Pollack. Rachel, rest in peace. The tarot community misses you greatly. It was so sad to hear about her passing earlier this month, but my love and condolences go out to her family. Okay, so let's put this guidebook to the side and let's get started with our alphabet. Letter A, author. So the prompt, who's your favorite author, had me thinking. And I really enjoyed the book, The Alienist by Caleb Carr. And I haven't read anything else by Caleb Carr, but I really did enjoy that book. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it took place in old New York. So we're talking 1800s. And I'm just a sucker for anything that takes place in New York. I grew up here, and it's just a lot of fun reading about the old streets and how people dressed during the time, and just imagining all of these things in the 1800s, but in your neighborhood. I just love it. I read another book called The Witches of New York, and that one is by Amy McKay. And The Witches of New York, again, takes place in the 1800s in New York City. And as bonus, there are witches involved. I mean, come on. How can you not love that book just on the premise alone? So I don't know. I'm starting to think that maybe I don't have a favorite author, but this is turning more into my favorite genre. So I don't know. Maybe I'm cheating a little bit with this one. And well, I'm only on the letter A and I'm already screwing it up. Letter B, biggest regret. All right, my biggest regret is not drinking enough water. Okay, I know that sounds ridiculous, but not drinking enough water has caused me to undergo a surgical procedure to remove a kidney stone. This kidney stone was so bad that I couldn't pass the kidney stone. It was so large and so jagged that they couldn't even use that procedure where they use some kind of I don't know if it's like a laser or a sonic wave or something to break it apart. It was so big and awful that they couldn't even go through that procedure. They had to do something else where they put some kind of a scope in your body and remove the kidney stone. And yeah, it was a difficult recovery. I had a lot of pain meds. And why? Because I didn't drink water. That seems like such a thing that didn't need to happen. Letter C, car. This is supposed to be a playlist that you listen to in your car. Now, let's revert back to New York City girl, right? I don't have a car. I don't own a car. I have no desire to have a car. I live in the city. I have access to public transportation pretty much 24/7. Don't need a car. But I do listen to music when I'm doing the dishes or doing the laundry or any other mundane chore. So there is something that I do listen to. I usually throw on a little Shakira. Shakira's my girl. She, most of her songs are just full of energy, always make me want to dance, and they fill me with joy. It's funny because I oftentimes kind of make fun of her voice when she does that thing where she sounds like a sheep. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But I love her, you know, sheep and all. I like to listen to her. Letter D, divination. So letter D is for divination other than tarot. I have a pendulum. I don't really use it, but there is something that I do that seems a little strange. And what that is in the shower when I'm washing my hair, after the conditioner, you know, some little hairs tend to fall out, but I can't let them go down the drain because it clogs up the drain. So what I do is I take whatever hair that kind of comes out and I just put it on the tile wall. I know, it seems gross, but that's what I do. I keep it there temporarily so it doesn't go down the drain. And as I'm putting more hair on the tile wall, I start seeing images. I see formations, and all of a sudden, the pattern of hair on the tile wall is becoming a reading. And I just start seeing things in the hair. So I guess that counts, right? And it's so funny because one time I had just gotten out of the shower, but I hadn't taken the hair off of the wall yet. And my husband comes in and he knows that I do this. This is not a secret. But he walked in and he saw the hair still in the tile and he goes, oh, wait a minute, I have a reading. And he goes over and he kind of waves his hand over the hair and says, you're going bald. Yes, you're very smart. Shut up. Letter E, eat. What would you want to eat as your last meal? I would definitely want to have Puerto Rican food. Any kind of Puerto Rican food will do. You know, maybe some pernil with a side of tostones and rice and beans, or maybe a mofongo with some shrimp and garlic sauce. Oh my God, I'm so hungry now. Just thinking back to the days when everybody would go to my aunt's house and she would always have some kind of meal available to anybody at any point in time. And everything she made was just delicious, but everything she made was Puerto Rican food, and oh, so good. F is for fear. What fears do you have is the prompt. Okay, and it could be an irrational fear. That was one of the things that was mentioned. So remember when we were on Wackadoo Island and I was talking about divination with hair? We're gonna take a little trip back to that island, and not along the edge. We're not hanging out at the beach. We're gonna be smack dab in the center of this island. Okay, so my fear, are you ready? Are you ready for my irrational fear? It's holes. I'm afraid of holes. Yeah, you're not sure if you want to subscribe anymore, are you? And the funny thing is, I know there's a phobia out there called trypophobia, and that's different from what I have, because trypophobia is a fear of a pattern of holes, or sometimes it could be a pattern of bumps, but that's not my thing. Actually, patterns of holes aren't a problem for me. It's just the one hole. If I have a hole in my sock, I have to take the sock off. I cannot wear that sock. Holes in fabric are generally my problem. If my finger or my toe can get caught in the hole, that's a big problem for me. And it's not a fashion thing. It's not like, oh, you know, I don't want to walk around with holes in my clothes because people are going to think badly. It has nothing to do with that. I literally cannot touch a hole without wiping my finger against my pants as if I had stuck my hand in mud. I just feel so gross. And I don't know, maybe it's not a fear, I just have a huge disgust for them, but it's totally irrational. I get anxious. It's absurd. I told you, we are on this wackadoo island. I hope I'm not alone here. But I understand it's irrational. I don't know why I have it. I've had it ever since I was a little kid. If I had a hole in my sock and my mom would sew it up, I still could not wear that sock because I knew that hole was there before. The closer it is to fingers and toes, the worse it is. The idea of having my toe sticking out of the hole is just, I can't. I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Let's move on. Letter G, game. What is your favorite game to play? One of the favorite games that I like to play with my kids on the Nintendo Switch is called Overcooked. And that game is hilarious, especially at the very beginning when you have no idea what you're doing. Each player is a chef and you are given a set of recipes to follow. And there are certain jobs that you have to do. You have to cook the rice, chop some lettuce, fry up some fish. There's all sorts of different things that you need to do. And depending on the round and depending on which restaurant you're in, the dishes will vary. Sometimes you're cooking pasta, sometimes you're making sushi. And what makes it so chaotic is that at the beginning, when you don't know how to really work this game, you have, one person's trying to make rice and another person's trying to chop some lettuce, and then they get into each other's ways and you're trying to get through to the other side and you can't. And then sometimes there's more lettuce than there are tomatoes and nobody's making the tomatoes, and it gets pretty chaotic. But once you get it and you figure out your groove, it really becomes even more fun because you're able to accomplish all the tasks and get to the next level. But yeah, at the beginning, it's the wildest thing you have ever seen. Letter H, holiday. What is your favorite time of the year? So as far as holidays go, I would have to say it's Halloween, my friends. I mean, come on. I love the decorations. I love shopping for it. I mean, I even have a video, I don't know, I think it was from last year, where I was shopping at TJ Maxx and Marshall's and just going through all the Halloween decorations. Oh my God. It's really hard for me to not buy everything. It's such a great time of the year. I love that it's the fall. The weather, it's not too hot, it's not too cold, and I love the costumes that everyone wears and just seeing everybody's creativity. It's so good. And just having that spooky time of year, it's just so much fun just to take out your tarot cards, do a reading, even though because I've been doing this for so long, I don't really associate tarot readings with spookiness, but it's still a great time of year to do that. I just love the feel of Halloween. Letter I, interest. An interest someone might not know about you. Well, lately I've been really enjoying learning about something called neurographic art. In a nutshell, without going into too much detail about it, it allows you to tap into your subconscious through art. And I've been loving not only learning about what it is and what the process is to create it, but I'm also loving the creation of the art. So I actually have a couple of examples that I drew just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So here's one that I did using a sphere and neurographic lines, and I used colored pencil on this one. And this is a very basic, simple one. There are others that can look a little more complicated than this. Another example that I have is one that I did with watercolor. I don't know if I can get the whole page in the camera, but you'll have an idea of what it looks like. Again, just using spheres and neurographic lines. And this is all in watercolor. And then I have one more example that I want to show you that incorporates neurographic art as well as other doodling techniques. So just showing you how I kind of incorporate different styles in there. But it's a lot of fun. It's very therapeutic. It puts you in this wonderful meditative state, and I highly recommend it. And I'm actually going to do a workshop on this. There's a summit coming up in June called Transcendence, Art, and Spirituality. And I believe there might be about 25, maybe more presenters who are also going to be covering different topics. And for the most part, the main theme around the summit is just exploring the connection between art and spirituality. And I really think that adding neurographic art to the agenda of things to discuss, I think it's going to be a good one. K, karaoke. Okay, so the question is, what would you sing on karaoke night? And you know, we're going to have to go back and look at our letter C, which is my car playlist. You know, it's back to Shakira. I will sing most songs by Shakira. So some of my go-tos are Wherever, Whenever, Objection. I think those are my two go-tos, but I'm pretty sure there are a couple of others that I wouldn't be too afraid to sing. Another go-to of mine at karaoke night is Gwen Stefani. One of my favorites being Just a Girl. And I think another one of hers that I sing is, how does it go? The waves keep on crashing on me for some reason. Dun, 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 dun. What's that song? How did I forget the name of that song? Oh, Hella Good, yeah. So Shakira, Gwen Stefani, those are my go-to karaoke's. L is for laugh. The prompt is, what makes you laugh the most? And I'd have to say, my kids. My kids crack me up. My son is elementary school age and my daughter's middle school aged. They are just genuinely funny. I remember there was one time when my son starts prancing around with his t-shirt rolled up kind of to his belly button, pretending to be his sister. And he walks around saying, I'm Liv and I'm the best and no one's better than me. And my daughter Liv looks at him and says, at least I'm confident. I really thought that was gonna go differently. I thought she was just gonna start insulting him back, and I thought it was just gonna go so badly. But it just went in a completely different and unexpected direction. And those are the kinds of things that are said around my house that crack me up. Letter M, movie. What is your favorite movie that you can watch over and over again? Well, for me, I would have to say that it's an oldie but goodie. It's a romantic comedy. I guess you can say it's one of those typical screwball comedies from the 1930s. I believe this one was from 1938. It's called Bringing Up Baby. Have you seen this movie? I mean, if you're a fan of screwball comedies, this one is one to watch. It stars Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. The two of them together are simply delightful. He plays a paleontologist who's trying to put together a set of dinosaur bones. He's almost done, but I think he's missing just one bone. And then he, at some point, ends up meeting Katharine Hepburn, who is this very flighty but very free-spirited woman. And she just wanders around and gets herself in all of these pickles, and it's pretty cute. It's pretty cute. There's a leopard involved. There's a dog that ends up burying one of the dinosaur bones and they can't find it. At some point they end up in jail. I mean, there's a lot going on, and it's It's so fun and cute. And if you haven't seen it, just add it to your list. Letter N, nature. The prompt is, where in nature do you feel the most connected? For me, I'm gonna have to say that's the woods. You know, there's some people who have the connection to the water and to the beach, not me. You probably have seen a previous video where I kind of talk about my indifference toward the water, but the woods, yeah, oh, especially during the fall. That's my favorite time of year to be in nature. Just seeing the tree branches and being surrounded by the crisp air and the beautiful leaves on the ground and all those glorious colors. I mean, oh, I love it. I love it. It makes me want to go out and either meditate or take out a tarot deck and do some readings. You know, it makes me want to get in tune with my spirituality, and being surrounded by that environment just brings all of that out in me. Letter O, optimistic. What are your hopes for the future? Well, for me, I think one of my hopes for the future is no more gun violence. I mean, the gun violence in the US is just out of control. And, you know, I have 2 school-age kids, and the amount of fear and stress and anger that builds up, it's a lot. It's a lot to have to deal with. And what shocks me the most is I'm looking at statistics. I was looking at an article at the BBC the other day, and it said that the total amount of mass shootings in the US so far has been 160. 160 mass shootings. I mean, this is just out of control. I'm optimistic that that'll come to an end. Letter P, pip deck. I would have to say that my favorite pip deck is La Corte de Tarocchi. And it's got this quirky shape to it. It's a very thin, very long, and it's got pips. So this is a major, that's a major, but let's see if we can find some pips. So here's one. Here's the 2 of Wands. And at the very top, it looks like we have a person blowing a horn and something wrapped around it. It looks like maybe leaves of some kind or some kind of fancy decoration. And let's see, what other we've got. What else do we have here? Looking for the pips, looking for the pips. Here we go. And it looks like each one of them has a different decoration at the top. So like this is the Ace of Wands. And we have this little animal, this little creature. I don't know what, it's not a snake because it also has ears. Or maybe it is a kind of snake. I don't know. I still have to look further into these cards. I've used them a couple of times. So trying to look into the imagery at the top is going to be interesting. See, they're all different. I mean, this is similar, but it's definitely not the same. And I love that you can use these differences in the pips to add to your reading. Here's some more wands. See, like they're all different. What is that, like a little bug of some kind crawling to this other side? Yeah, I mean, like you can use the bug in your reading. And the cards look so old even though they're not, but it has that very Renaissance feel to it. Let's find some more pips. Here we go. So this is the Ace of Swords. But there's a guy on a horse. Wait, that's not a horse. What is that? Is that a dog? Is he riding a dog? What? Again, very quirky imagery that you can incorporate into your reading. Three of Cups. Looks like it's inside of a church or maybe a castle. But look, the design for the cups, they're all different. Letter Q, quality time. What do you consider being quality time spent? For me, again, I go back to the kids, back to the husband. It's just that family time, especially at dinner. We always make sure that at dinner time, the TV is not on unless we make an exception. When we're ordering takeout, then we'll put the food on the coffee table because it's a pretty large coffee table, and we'll watch TV then. But if I'm cooking or if my husband is cooking, it's just family time at the dinner table, no distractions, no phones, no television. And it's just a time for us to chat about our days, for my kids to be funny. It's just a really beautiful time for the family to get together. Letter R, reincarnation. If you could be reborn in any time period, when would that be and why? Well, I have always loved the 60s. I mean, everything that came out of the 60s in terms of pop culture, for me, that just always looked like a really fun time. And when I think of the 60s, the first thing that comes to my mind is the show Laugh-In. Goldie Hawn was in there, and just the outfits in the show, like the mod style with the short dresses and the patterns with very organic shapes on them and in the bright colors. I just love that time, and the hairstyles, the music. It just looked like a really fun time. Letter S, sacred. What is sacred to you? Well, for me, that would have to be Tarot Corner. And Tarot Corner is a little space in my apartment in the corner of the living room. And I believe my daughter named it that. That's where I have every single tarot deck that I own. And it's getting kind of crowded. I think I'm gonna have to hold back on the purchasing. I mean, okay, I actually have 2 decks that are coming in the mail, but I swear after that, we're gonna put a pause. But anyway, we're talking about sacred spaces. So let's focus, Bella. Okay, Tarot Corner. In addition to having all of my tarot decks there, I also have some spiritual tools that I like to use. I have my candles in there. I have some essential oils. I have some crystals. And I also have photographs of my ancestors there. And it's just a beautiful place for me just to go and take a moment and either pray or meditate or do any kind of spiritual work that I need to do for myself. It's a little place that I can go to just for me. Letter T, tarot. Your current favorite tarot deck. I have to say that my current favorite is Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. And you may have seen the video that I did about my struggles with purchasing this. Not with the actual purchase, but coming to the decision to purchase. And I had different reasons for why I didn't want to. And we don't have to get into that again because you can just watch the video over there. But I ended up really, really loving it. And I'm glad I took as long as I did to make a good decision and a decision that I was happy with. And what it boils down to is the art. I'm just so drawn to the art of this deck that it makes me happy. And because this is a style that I'm comfortable with, comfortable drawing in, and I feel like this is art that I can draw as well. And I think that's why I feel so connected to this deck, because it feels familiar. Even though I've never drawn any of these pictures, it kind of almost feels like I have. And there's just this weird connection that I have to this, even though, like I said earlier, I'm not a beach person. And in the video that I made, I'm not into mermaids, but yet somehow I just feel so drawn and connected. Letter U, unforgettable moment. So for me, I would say one of the unforgettable moments was when I did a Bollywood dance in front of a few hundred people. And this was back in the day when I was obsessed with Bollywood, obsessed with anything having to do with India, especially the food and the clothing and the music. And I joined a South Asian Student Association just so that I can participate in the talent shows. And there was a movie that I saw. It was my very first Bollywood movie that had no subtitles. I had to figure out what was going on with the body language. And it was called Aina, which I believe means mirror. And I loved one of the songs in there, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do that dance from that song. And I think it's right before the bride gets married. So it's like the couple of days before that where they have all of these different events and dances. And in the movie, they did a dance for that. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. I watched the movie, and this was back in the time of VHS, okay? So I'm watching the tape, hitting rewind, pause, rewind, play, pause, trying to figure out all of the steps. And once I've had that whole dance memorized, then I just started recruiting other people within the South Asian Student Association looking for dancers. And I found a couple, and I showed them the dance steps, and they were my backup dancers. And it was kind of funny, like this Puerto Rican chick teaching these Indian women how to dance. But it was fun. It was fun, and it was a wild time, and I did my dance, and everybody loved it. It was so much fun. But that was such a high to be able to just figure out all of those dance steps, teach it to 5 other people, and just get everybody working in sync, and then to have it come out really good. That was a blast. Definitely an unforgettable moment. Letter V, vacation. What is your favorite vacation destination? Oh no, is this the last card? We've run out of cards. All right, I think I'm gonna have to take out another deck. How about the Salvador Dali deck? Have you guys seen that one? That's a pretty interesting one. I don't use it that much. Here's the box that it came in. But it might be worth just flipping through. Here we go. This is our Dali deck. What letter are we up to? V, vacation. Favorite destination. Okay, for me, a favorite vacation spot would be anywhere that has warm weather, anywhere where drinks come to me. Those places where you can, okay, I know I said I don't like the beach, right? I know this is gonna sound completely opposite of what I said, but sitting in a lounge chair on the sand while servers come around giving you drinks, because it's an all expense paid trip. It's one of those all-inclusive resorts. That's the place for me. The sun, yeah. I want to be in the sun, lying down with servers coming to me with drinks and umbrellas in those drinks. I don't care where this is. I'm good with wherever. It can be in Asia, in Europe, South America, it doesn't matter. Just as long as I don't have to do a single dang thing. Letter W, well-being. What do you do to keep it in check? Well, I don't do a whole lot. You know, I don't go away on retreats. I don't do a whole lot of self-care. I don't get massages. So I think the only thing that I do for well-being is just zoning out in the shower. That's where I do my, meditations. That's where I get away. In addition to tarot corner, the shower is the place to be because no one else is in there. I can just meditate. Shower is the best place to do that, especially when you're living in a small place with 3 other people and there's only 2 bedrooms and all the bedrooms are taken. The shower is the best place to be, my friends. Letter X, X-ray. Have you had one? Have you ever broken a bone? That's the prompt for X. So, I really haven't broken anything. I can't believe I've made it this far in my life without breaking anything that requires an X-ray. But I've kind of just had the standard X-rays, dentist, mammograms, MRI, because I kind of have to switch. I have to do MRIs and mammograms because of my history. But nothing out of the ordinary, thank goodness, right? Letter Y, yourself. When can you feel totally comfortable in your own skin? Well, I would have to say when I talk to my husband. I love talking to him because he carries no judgment. At least he doesn't say anything, right? So maybe he's all judgy inside, I don't know. But at least I feel when I talk to him that it's kind of a judgment-free zone and I get to be who I am. And, he hears my ridiculousness with my fear of holes and reading hair in the shower. And, he still loves me for it. Well, maybe not for it, but maybe despite it. But, I feel like I can totally be my ridiculous, silly self. And my hope is that's what he loves about me. And I don't have to pretend to be somebody else. I don't have to pretend to be glamorous. I don't have to pretend to be smart. He accepts me for who I am, and I love that about him. Letter Z, zodiac. What star sign are you, and do you feel a connection with it? So my star sign is Sagittarius, and I feel 0 connection to being a Sagittarius. Everything that I read about a Sagittarius says, oh, it's a fire sign, and these people, these Sagittarians are very feisty and they're passionate and they do things on a whim, and that is so not me. I am not, I'm probably fiery, but I'm an introverted fiery. I'll probably explode inside, but won't really show it on the surface. But I feel like I'm very calm, cool, and collected. I don't like doing things at the spur of the moment. Things have to be very planned out. I need to know what's expected. And I feel like none of those traits are associated with a Sagittarius. But I'm sure there are other things in my natal chart or astrological chart that will help explain other personality traits that aren't normally associated with a Sagittarius. I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to astrology. So, if somebody told me what my other signs were and what's in this house and what's in that house, it just wouldn't make any sense to me. But at some point, I'd like to learn more about it. And I have a feeling that once I do learn more about it, it will explain who I am a lot better. Well, my friends, that is the A to Z. I hope you enjoyed learning more about me. I hope that none of the things will scare you off from subscribing, because I would love to form a little community here. So the more subscribers I can get, I would love that, because eventually I'd like to have a community tab where we can really chat, because I want to get to know you guys. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have any irrational fears that are remotely similar to my thing with holes. I'd also like to know if you have any strange divination tools like reading hair in the shower. If you found any of this ridiculousness amusing, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it and don't want to subscribe, then hit the like button. All right, my friends, until next time, bye.